I'm Cheyenne Patrick. I am the Ag 4-H Youth Development Educator here in Osage County with the Extension Office. And today we are going to transplant some tomato plants, and then we're also going to plant tomato and cucumber seeds. And we'll show you how to get those in the pots and get under your grow light or outside, not outside right now. And then we'll show you how to do it. Okay, so what you need is you need two, I have 1 gallon containers, and then you'll transplant them from your 2 smaller containers that you have. You'll need potting soil to put in your pots. I already have mine pre-filled just to make things go a little quicker. But what you'll do is you take your hands, your shovel, whatever you prefer. I use my hands, and make a small indention in the middle of the potting soil. I don't know if you guys can see that at all. Make a small indention, and then you take your plant, tomato plant here, and you kind of squeeze it a little bit to get it loose. And you take your little plant out, which he's not coming out very easily. Take it out. You put it right in the middle of where you dug your hole, and then take the edges and push it back into the middle. That way you have your bottom of your roots completely covered with potting soil. That's how we did our first one. Okay, so here we have a little close-up of how to plant the seedling into a 1 gallon pot. As you can see, you can make a hole in the middle of the 1 gallon pot, probably 2 to 3 inches deep. And then once you have that done, make sure when you take your plant out of the pot that you squeeze the pot to break the roots up from the bottom, just in case they've grown to the bottom. And once you have them broken up, you can put the plant down into the center of the 1 gallon pot. As you can see here, you can see the roots right there on the bottom. And then you put your plant right in the middle of it. Once you've done that, you cover up the roots as best as you can. And you want to make sure that you have more acidic soil. Tomatoes prefer soil that is slightly acidic with a pH around 6 to 6.8. So more acidic soil is better for them. They thrive in a little bit higher pH than normal potting soil. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to plant seeds just from the seed starts. It's better to have quite a few seeds in one pot, just in case some of them don't germinate, something happens, they don't get enough water or light or whatever it may be. So I'd say in these size pots, probably 4. And if you have 4 of them sprout up, you can transplant them into another little pot and they'll grow just fine. It won't hurt them to start in a single pot. So I'm going to show you just real quick how you need to put these in the pots. Okay, so here we have a close-up of our cucumber seeds. We have our 2 small pots, so we're going to put 1 pot cucumber seeds and 1 pot tomato seeds. You want to put the cucumber seeds and the tomato seeds just under the top of the soil. Push them down, not very far, and then make sure and cover them up with soil. You'll want about 3 to 4 seeds in one little pot to make sure you at least get 1 or so to germinate. If they all germinate, that's fine. You can go ahead and transplant them. Just make sure you have them completely covered up. Okay, so next we have our tomato seeds. You can see they're a lot smaller than the cucumber seeds, so you got to be careful and not put a whole bunch of them in our small pots. But you'll do the same thing with those that you did with the cucumber seeds or whatever seeds you want to use. You put them just directly under the top of the soil and cover them completely with the rest of the soil, not too deep, remember that. And once you have them put underneath the top of the soil, you will be ready to put them under your grow light and water them. Okay, so now that we have our transplanted plants in our big pots and then our seeds planted, just a couple more tips. You want to make sure and water, especially the seedlings, at least once a week. Give them a good soak. That way that seed can get the water it needs to start. And then make sure it has plenty of warm light. I know it's so cold out right now, so putting it in the window is probably not the best idea because the windows are still cold and it will probably stop these seeds from germinating. We have a grow light, that's what we do with ours inside. And then with these the tomato plants that are already started, you can water them about once a week as well. They don't need quite as much water. Just make sure the soil is good and wet. Don't overly soak it because you can't overwater them at this stage. You can at any stage, but definitely at this stage. So make sure and just soak the soil pretty well, and then and make sure it has plenty of warm light as well. These are a little more hardy, I guess you can say. You can put those in the window if you wanted to, but just make sure they have plenty of water. That's the main thing, and sunlight. Okay, I just wanted to give a few more tips on how to take care of them once you get them transplanted and started. You'll want to water your plant, like I said, once a week or so. And you want to water it, just like I said, the top of the soil, not too saturated, but just enough to get the top wet. And try not to get the water on the leaves because of the way the plant works. It will absorb it through the roots. So getting it on the leaves won't help this plant at all. So just another tip, when the plant is turning yellow, that means you've watered it too much more than likely. And you can tell, it'll turn a bright yellow. And as you can see here with the leaves that are wilting or falling off, that means it's not had enough water. So just make sure when you see that you go ahead and get it saturated at the bottom of the plant or the base of the plant. That way it can absorb all the water that it needs to perk back up.